Welcome to the Buttons Part 1 tutorial. We are going to go over styling, including corner radius, gradients, background filters, and borders, as well as button labels and states. We will also take a look at transparent buttons as we use those often in our UIs. As you can see, there is now a mock-up of the Smart Remote device on your index page when you create a new Smart Remote project. We think this will provide a better representation of the space you are working with, as well as provide a convenient way to edit the hard buttons. We will take a look at these a little later. Let's grab a button and take a look. The default settings include a blue-gray darken 5 base color, with an opacity value of 48. It also has a 1-pixel border with a border radius of 7. These default settings are in keeping with our Moonlight UI design, but clearly you can completely customize them to your liking. Let's go into the button properties and start with the Styling tab. As you can see, there are a lot of similarities with labels. You will find a lot of the options are the same throughout components, but you will notice them laid out differently. It is necessary to do it this way, as each component has a variety of features that need to be accommodated in different ways. The first section, positioning, is the same as labels, so let's start with the corner radius. You have the ability to adjust each corner individually or set all the corners at once. This allows for just about every design situation you may have. In many instances, we like to use a corner radius of 7 or 12. If you would like to make a circle, just create an equal width and height button with an all-corner radius of half the size. I am going to put an image behind it. Moving on, we can set the background color, as well as a backdrop filter. You can experiment with these options in the list, but I will point out one filter that is used quite a bit in our designs. The blur option allows you to obscure the background so that you won't have other text and images coming through, should you decide to use an opacity on your button background. We use this feature a lot with panels, but also sometimes use it with buttons. Under the color option, you can also set a gradient. The default is none, to maintain a more modern look, but you still have other options available to you if you prefer. The option of a two-tone color gradient is for the very creative. You can even angle it. Next to this is the option to make the button transparent. This feature is utilized frequently throughout our UIs. You can see this here with the Smart Remote hard buttons. They are transparent with an outline here, but you will find them at times without a border as well. This is done when you want to show what is beneath the button, like here with the Smart Remote image. This is also done when you have a lot of labels or images that you want to cover if you want to link it to another page. We do this in Moonlight over the weather section as well as others. Below you have the ability to set a border on your button. You can do this different ways. If you want a full border around the button, then you can go down to the All 4 Borders field and select your color and opacity. When you do this, the information for each side will appear in the other fields above as you go. If you want to have a border on just 1 or 2 or 3 sides, you have to enter each separately in the corresponding fields. Next is the style of line. We predominantly use a solid one or dotted. You can experiment with these options. Last is the size of the border. We tend to keep the border either at 1 or 2, although at times a thicker border might be more appealing when you are setting a state for on and off. If at any time you would like to start over, just click the reverse arrow. Below borders, you also have the ability to set shadow effects. This is a great way to make your buttons appear as if they are floating on the page. The next tab is Label Styling. The text formatting section is the same as the individual label component, so we will skip this and go to the label image. The label image allows you to position an icon or logo inside the label. This was created so that you do not have to have a separate image on top of a button. I am going to go to my Images folder and select our logo. You have several options of where you want to place it within the button. I am going to select center, which means it is center vertically as well as horizontally. Now I am going to save and refresh the page to see what this looks like. I am going to remove the label. Now if you click in the width field, you can roll up and down until you get a size you like. There is also a checkbox, which will maintain the aspect ratio of the image. You can uncheck and type width and height if you would like. Below the image section, you will find the option of adding a caption to a button. If you type in some text and click the Save and Refresh button, you will see the text in the upper left corner. Use the offset fields to position it where you would like. This is a useful button feature and we use it frequently. If we go now to the next tab at the top, you will find the Button States section. This is essentially the same as I showed you in labels, with the addition of options such as background and border color. I am going to create a play-pause button for HEOS. Before you add your reference variables and state choices, you have to define something for the button in the label styling first, even if it is going to be overwritten by your choices later. I am going to do this by putting a play-pause button here. Now I will go to Button States and type in my reference variable. HEOS_1_state. I am going to set the active state value as play. Next, it is important to note that whenever you define an active or on state, you need to define the off or inactive state as well. First, I will select my background color, which will not change in either state. Then a border color. So when it is on or in the play state, I want the border to be green. For the off state, I want it to be the same default blue-gray color. Next I want to show the pause button when it is playing, and the play button when it is paused. I do not want any text, so I will leave the label field blank. Below, I will check both these options as I want the button to remain visible and clickable in both states. Finally, in order to make the button work, we need a command. I am going to go to the Commands tab and enter the HEOS play pause command in the server command field. HEOS, pipe, 1, tilde, play pause. I will save my choices here and then click the Save Refresh icon at the top. If I click Launch, you will see the button ready for use. Thank you for viewing this video. Our next tutorial will be button commands.